months ago I made this video about, is it normal to have relationship doubts? And I noticed that a lot of people still question this. Our partner does something to us, boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, anything. It doesn't matter whether you've been married for 10 years, even if you've been in a relationship for 6 months, it can be any of those time frames. It still happens in marriages after 20 years. And so what actually happens is your husband or wife or whoever it is, they do something that upsets you. They say something, you get into an argument. And this can often happen depending on how we cope with things, and also it can depend on our attachment styles. So how we then act on that and what we do from that argument can roll on for a couple of days, it can go on for a week, it can actually not be properly resolved, and then a few weeks later the relationship's sort of okay but has those issues, and then a really big talk has to come and you've got to work through it. And you need to get down to the bottom of that and go, this is exactly what I feel and why, and be 100% listened to without interruption, and then same for the other person. And I know in my relationship that it comes down to being heard 100% with no interruption, and then the other one takes their turn and lets it all out. And it's really getting down to the bottom of that. And if you have to sit there for 2 hours and do it, or 3 hours, or come back the next day and still let it out, write letters, that's just what has to happen. So what happens is, a natural way of relationships to be is you go in this really beautiful honeymoon phase, and essentially this is going to keep happening to you 10 years later, 20 years later. And what it will be is that you are going to be getting along really well. And then you'll go through a stage where a few things will happen, you're still getting along quite well, maybe you're not so lovey-dovey as you were in that first stage, and then you're going to another stage where it's, just everything's sort of going okay. Then you'll come into a stage where a few things come up, maybe for you don't express it, you guys don't talk about it, and then you'll come into this fight stage. And there is something that John Gray talks about, which is the 5 stages of dating, and it's like 5 stages of relationships that keep coming up all the time. And I don't remember all of them off the top of my head, but I have got the book, and it's like like romantic love, or the word that I'm looking for is that lustful love. And then also you go through a really like a blissful love, and then you go into this sense of real love, and then you go into a bit of like a mediocre stage, and then you go into sort of arguments, and then you go into doubts. And so doubting your partner during those stages are really, really natural. And what will happen probably in your mind, what you're experiencing is this the right partner for me? Is this going to work out? Does this happen in other relationships? Would this happen if I were with somebody else? Should they be treating me like this? Is this going to happen 10 years later? If I leave the relationship now, is that going to, will I then be able to find somebody else that treats me in a different way? And so all of these questions will come up for you constantly. And it's just a natural way of being. And once you've gotten down to the bottom of those doubts and that issue with your partner, you're then going to feel yourself coming into that, again, that really up the top of the wave, and it's going to be this real blissful love, and you feel romantic again, you love them, no doubts, want to get married, or think this is the best husband that I've got, I'm so lucky to have him. And then again, you're going to notice it start to come down and down and down again. And what I'm here to tell you today is that this is so normal. And so I think we get confused between, there is people that are not kind people, there are people that are abusive people, and in those relationships, if the person is perhaps a violent person, or extremely unkind, there can be even narcissist. Yes, in those relationships where you feel in your intuition something is really wrong here, this video again is not designed for those people, because those relationships are relationships that, yes, you do need to get out of. And those doubts are different. Those doubts can come around, safety, and are my kids okay? Will I be okay? And, should I be treated like this? But then the other kind that we talk about is another kind that is really hard to work out between, because you can know you've got a really good husband, wife, or whatever, but something happens and they do something and you're like, but if they were a really good partner for me, would this be happening? Should this happen? Would another person treat me like this? And the truth is, at the end of the day, and my secret wish is that I wish I could be a fly on the wall in so many relationships. I'd love to truly see, because I don't think anyone is ever really open about this, but we never know what goes on inside every single person's relationships. And so what we do is we look at a relationship on the outskirts and, you know, on the happy times, and we go, their relationship is so good, like, you know, and we think they don't have the things, like maybe they didn't have a fight like we have, maybe they don't get as angry as we get, maybe they don't, that person's partner doesn't say that stuff to them. But we never know what it's like on the inside, and we also don't know how they deal with it. So the most important things is, number one, knowing that, okay, this doubt is really normal and natural, and to know that it's going to keep on happening to you. So working out ways, how can I get through when I'm really at the bottom of this wave with my partner? What can I do? Can I pull out a jar of everything they've ever written me, of all their notes, or notes that I've written about them that are beautiful, or qualities that I've got about them in a jar? So, you know, just reminding yourself, what kind of partner are you with? Because when you're in that downward wave, you're definitely going to pick up all the worst stuff about your partner. That is what's going to happen. And it's going to go doubt, doubt, doubt. And you're going to add up this huge, big milestone of issues about your partner, and you're going to keep bringing stuff up from the past. So try and find the good in those moments. It's going to help you calm down your mind and feel more at ease. And then another thing that I want you to do is also in those moments of doubt, and when you're feeling like, you know, you don't know what's going on in the relationship, just remember that we don't ever know what's inside of somebody else's relationship, and nobody's ever perfect, but we all have an idea of what respect is, but it's not the same for everybody else. So the most important thing you want to look for is, can you communicate to your partner? And always reflect back on, how are you communicating to your partner? Because sometimes we think we've told them something, but the way we've communicated it hasn't actually been in a way that they can understand it or they can read it. And if you're truly honest with yourself, you will notice at certain times they can take on board what you say, and other times they can't take on board what you say. So what is the reason for that? Obviously, they're a person that can take on a message, so it's probably the way that the message is being sent to them, and that is why they can't hear that message properly. That is why they're not respecting that message properly. So there's always two people involved in that communication. It's never just about them. So just remembering those things and bringing it back to the good, and knowing, try and ride with the wave, but ride with the wave as smooth as you possibly can, and differentiate difference between what is something that you know, is really normal, what is something that is not really normal, and just getting an understanding of this and working through it. So I hope that this helped you in understanding that it's going to keep happening to you. It's something completely normal. It's also okay, and that no partner is perfect, and that it doesn't matter which relationship you're in, this will keep on happening. And even, you know, people that we think might be perfect, we could look at the biggest people in the world like Tony Robbins or Mel Robbins. We could look at psychologists, we could look at counselors. We all go through this. You know, I'm doing life coaching and I'm studying right now, but I still struggle with things, and it's about looking at that and admitting to that and knowing, what have I done to add to this, and how can I ride through this wave? How can I make this wave better for me? What are the things I can find about my partner that I know to be true, that I know to be good, and why am I really with them at the end of the day? And remembering, hey, we've got through this 100 times, we're going to get through this again. And just being confident that it's totally normal, and this is okay to have in your relationship.